Hello, my Campfire friends. Today I'm going to take you through an adventure that I had a few days ago within the world of the Devil Wears Prada's Runway magazine, thanks to the language algorithm GPT-3. If you think of the function on your phone that's auto suggest, where you type the start of a sentence and your phone suggests what the next word might be, but does it not that well. GPT-3 is basically like that on steroids. So it's a machine learning algorithm. It was trained on billions of pages of text from across the internet, and its creators wanted it to hopefully try and learn some of the underlying patterns in language so that it could generate the next word a lot better and a lot more plausibly than what's on your phone. And then once it can do this, which it can actually do surprisingly well, it can effectively just write things for you, which I find very exciting. But one fun application of this is to effectively play text-based games. So if you sort of write a little chunk of text describing a scenario, and then you type in things that you would do, like for example here, I've typed in my little description of the setup of the Devil Wears Prada and an early scene in the movies. I've said you're Andy Sachs, you're a journalism graduate, you've just gotten a job at Runway magazine, Miranda Priestley has excessive demands, etc. And I put in a little other info to the scenario as well. And then I can basically type in actions and effectively play this game. So I can say, say if I write that I cry, it will come up with something that happens next, and I can just go back and forth like this, playing within this world. You start crying and run to the bathroom, locking yourself in the nearest stall. So this is what GPT-3 has just come up with. I just find this amazing, but that's not the point today. The point is what happened when I played this the other day. So I set up this Devil Wears Prada scenario, and then I was having a lot of fun just going around, talking to people, doing weird things to Miranda, etc. But then I thought, look, I have a responsibility as an employee of this magazine to really try and create the political and cultural change that I want to see in the world. So I did decide that I had to make Runway more queer. And I wanted to do this by pitching Runway's first queer issue. And I'm going to show you how that went. So now we're going to the text from when I played this through the other day, when I attempted to do this. Here we go. So I found Nigel, the art director. For those of you who haven't seen The Devil Wears Prada 13 times, you should go and watch it after this. And I pitched the Runway queer issue. He was a bit confused at first. He wasn't that into it. I explained, and we started talking about it. He was on board. I was really excited, like we're going to change the world here, but I was a bit worried that Nigel, just kind of knowing Nigel, that he might be a bit more focused on just the G aspect of LGBTQIA+, and not really a broader conception of queerness. So I had to kind of work on that a bit with him. As you can see, I reminded him that queer is more than just the G. And then I asked him, what would be the queerest thing that we could put in the magazine? And he said we could put two guys on the cover. People do it all the time. So I didn't really feel like he was getting it. He then had some kind of ideas about a bearded lady drag queen. I didn't really know where he was going. I was thinking, this subversive? Is it just what's happening? I don't know. But then I decided what I had to do was, as I said here, I said learn some queer theory, and I handed him a Judith Butler book. I thought this might be what he needed. He was a bit confused, but he said he was going to read it. I appreciate him making an effort. We want people to make an effort and learn. And then this is what he said after 2 weeks of reading the book. It's a fantastic book. It really helped me understand what I'm supposed to do. And he said, I asked what he learned. He said, I learned that gender is performance. He said, we are all performing gender roles, but it is a social construct. It is different to sexuality. And the gender that people are attracted to is a social construct. The way we experience gender is also a social construct. So I thought he kind of understood this book quite well. The whole thing is a social contract, he said, but I wanted to know what this means for the magazine, and he said we should make the cover of the magazine gay. I was a little annoyed. I did shout at Nigel, have you learnt nothing? And we did have a little bit of a falling out, but eventually we got further. He said it would have to include asexuals, genderqueer people, pansexuals, transsexuals, lesbians, gay men, bisexuals. Obviously, we don't use this word so much these days, but he'd expanded. He was growing, and I was really impressed. And I did cry a little, and I did hug Nigel. He then kind of reverted a bit because he told me that it's just a list of different letters for different kinds of relationships, LGBTQIA+. And we had a little falling out. But what I want to show you is the actual idea that he came up with when his genius as an art director combined with his new understanding of what queerness is. So this is what he said. Okay? So what we've got, this is for the cover, is a series of photographs of famous celebrities. But they're not just any celebrities. They're all people who've come out as LGBTQIA. For example, there's one of Lady Gaga and one of Anderson Cooper. They're all different shapes and sizes because sexualities are not a strict pattern. I said, I'm loving this going, but queerness isn't just about sexualities. Remember what Judith taught you. Don't limit sexualities include gender too. And he said, so we have a series of different shapes and sizes of photographs that are different sexualities and genders. But in the middle, we have one large photograph of you. I was a little surprised by that last part. I was flattered. But mainly I felt like we'd made progress. We went back and forth on who should be in the middle a little bit. And then we went with this idea. I was very impressed. We did release the issue. It was a hit. It did break every record for sales in the entire history of Runway. The industry was shocked. A queer-themed issue of Top Fashion magazine. The entire world was stunned. And that was how I made Runway magazine's first queer issue. Thank you.